We're going to start this morning with the latest look at the Caldor Fire burning in El Dorado and Amador counties and generating a lot of concern for people living and who have cabins in the greater Tahoe area.
That's absolutely right, Walt. This wildfire is still growing, but there could be some hope for firefighters today.
All right, here's the latest numbers showing the Caldor Fire has surpassed 200,000 acres. Containment is up 5% this morning from yesterday, now at 23%.
And some evacuation orders are now downgraded to warnings. That's for people on the west side of the fire in areas of North Camino and Pollock Pines.
Okay, we know all of this is constantly changing, and it is a lot to keep tabs on. That's why we have several teams on the ground right now. ABC 10's Zach Fuentes is talking with evacuees in Reno.
And Devin Haskins is live in South Lake Tahoe with a look at some improvement this morning. But first, let's head over to meteorologist Rob Karlmark to see what's in store for the forecast today. Rob?
All right, good morning to you. Good morning to everybody at home. Starting off in the morning, the way that this fire is going to behave, what's threatened, how threatened it is, mostly depends on what the weather's going to do. And I can tell you that today is the best weather day in a while. In other words, we have calmer winds, higher humidity, and while the fire is going to be moving in the same general direction that it has, and areas are still threatened and the fire will still grow, it's going to grow more slowly today because we do have no red flag warning, and the fire conditions are just going to be not as active today. And those containment numbers, I suspect, will go up by quite a bit in the next few days. Now, this is in general where it is and where it's going. Remember, when you're looking at the satellite dots, that's from a satellite, so it's not exact, but it tells you in general where the fire has been active over the last 12 hours. North of Kirkwood, right Lake area, and then of course getting closer and closer to Heavenly, where we're going to have a live report here in a second. Now the winds are calm in that area for the valley spots. I know you care about your forecast. It's quite cool. We're in the 50s. It's breezy, and you're going to have highs in the 80s. So a good weather day for most of us, and a better weather day for where the Caldor Fire is. Temperatures in the 30s. So this is what we're looking at today wind-wise. It will be breezy. 15 to 20 miles per hour at times, but much, much better weather conditions. Very quickly, I know you're trying to get out the door, and traffic-wise, there's one thing that we need to bring to your attention before we focus back on the fire. It is 6 o'clock in the morning, and if you commute to the Sacramento area, this is a major traffic backup. Now, Brittany Begley is on this story. In fact, she is driving at the moment, so she's focused on safely getting to this so she can report live from the location. But what she's heading to is an overturned big rig with blocked lanes on I-5 as you make the turn into the 50. Now, on any given normal day, this is a bad spot. Traditionally, it's a bottleneck, and you throw in an overturned big rig, it's going to be a major problem. So again, if you commute, say, from Elk Grove or the Pocket or Sacramento, any of those spots into downtown, heads up, this is I-5 heading toward the 50. Now, getting back to the fire story and a live report, we're going to go ahead and talk to Devin Haskins, who's been on this story for days. Devin, tell us what you've seen over the last 24 hours and what you expect today.
Well, Rob, the smoke today, it's kind of really making it hard to see the fire here on the ground level. We drove around earlier this morning to try and see if we could find some fire and some flames up in the hills. It's more of a glow that we were able to see. Now, that being said, we do know that the fire is very active and it's still burning. Let's take a look at some video that we shot earlier this morning from the parking lot at the base camp of Heavenly Mountain. Really, the only thing you could see there, and I'll showing you what I mean there, is just the ski lights heading up the hill. Now, take a look from above at the resort's tower cam. This time-lapse video shows flames still destroying the forest south of the resort. Here's another view from Tahoe Mountain, looking to the southeast. One of the biggest concerns has always been whether this fire would turn to the north towards the South Lake Tahoe, where thousands of homes are. But fire crews have said that winds weren't as bad as anticipated, and the calm winds also help them prevent more homes and cabins from catching on fire. Now, this morning, that fire is still burning, and it's heading more towards the Nevada state line. Fire officials just hope that it stays in the hills, because that's where less fuels are for it to burn. Let's go ahead and send it to Zach at a evacuation center.
Yeah, that's right, Devin. We're at the Reno Sparks Convention Center where many evacuees, especially from Lake Tahoe, are staying right now. And you had a little bit of good news in your report there, Devin, which is exactly what these people are hoping for, clinging to. And some more of that good news did come out of El Dorado County, where a lot of those evacuation orders have been downgraded. Those people who have been displaced, being displaced for more than 2 weeks. So let's pull up a map and get a little more specific on where those evacuation orders have been downgraded. We're talking the areas north of Highway 50, west of Sly Park, south of Slab Creek, and east of Larson Drive and Snows Road, the Pollock Pines area. That, of course, being the first areas impacted by the Caldor Fire more than 2 weeks ago, which is unbelievable. Even the fact that we're here in Reno now that the fire has spread in this direction is so surreal. Now, some of the most devastating images we've seen showing the community of Grizzly Flats devastated. And then earlier this week, our John Bartel was also in the Phillips area where we found even more devastation. So many of the people evacuated in these areas have been able to get news of their homes, of their communities from news reports like ours. But right now, burn crews are now able to assess structural damage within some areas of the fire. And they have a tool to help people do that from anywhere, really, online. It's a map from the El Dorado County Sheriff's Office. To find a home, you type in the address at the top left corner. And if you don't see an icon, that structure has not been identified yet. But when you click on those icons, it does tell you the status of that home, and it will show you an image as well. And if you saw on the map, there's a lot of red houses on there. Those, unfortunately, are the structures that have been destroyed. And I've been going through looking at some of the pictures. It's absolutely heartbreaking, but it is giving people some answers. As I've been at these evacuation centers, I know that people have just been anxious to find out some kind of news so they can start the process of whatever their life's going to look like moving forward. Now, if you'd like to take a look at that map, know it's constantly being updated and adjusted because crews are still assessing that damage. You can find it right now at abc10.com/links. But Bria, people just desperate for answers.
Absolutely, Zach, and I'm glad that we can help, even if it's just sharing the link. But you can find that link again, abc10.com/links. Zach, thank you.